Okay, welcome to an episode of Stampscapes Show and Tell. This is a publication here, Rubber Buddies, issue number 2 from 1996. I think this was sent to me by my UK retailer for Stampscape stamps, going back into the early days of Stampscapes. And this is a cover here by Shirley Barnes. And I wanted to show people in a live stream the usage of the Waterside bluffs left and right. And this is kind of an extreme version of it here on the cover. You know, people usually don't work, full page, for, card makers. Some people do. But she's just used it kind of in a very extreme version right here on this publication. And I did this, like I said, a live stream yesterday. And I thought I should go, and show them this piece because I've always remembered it, but the thing that I didn't remember is it was by Shirley Barnes, the retailer named Serendipity that has the Stampscapes UK site. Okay, but anyways, I thought we would do a quick flip through of this. I always loved, especially in retrospect, the spirit of the the zine kind of self-publishing, community or whatnot. There were different larger publications back then. Not, so much in the late 90s. So you'd see kind of the self-published, publications coming out at the time, put together by people that were, probably rubber stampers themselves, and just a lot of enthusiasm, about, with the different, the techniques and everything like that were being, kind of developed at the time in those early days without the use of a lot of accessories that were catered towards the rubber stamp, community, the paper crafters. There weren't a lot of those kind of larger accessory manufacturers, i.e. the stamp pad companies, the ink companies, etc. Okay, so I don't know. We see things like this jewelry, in stamping. I don't know what they're talking about in here. I'm not gonna go in here, but it looks like they're talking about like the clay, the Fimo clays, okay, things like that. The shrink art things were being made into jewelry, etc., back in the day. And it looks like they were stamping some imagery into that clay here. A lot of text on these types of early zines because they had to describe how to do something in word form, in order to, convey the, the process, describe the whole process of how things were to be done. So a lot of the Stampscapes kind of explanations in printed form were several pages, things that I can show now in, 30 seconds on, a YouTube video. So that's the way a lot of these zines were. But a lot of people, that's how you learned how to do things back then. Vamp Stamp News was a big publication at the time, and it was really known for techniques. So a lot of, it was known as the Stamper magazine. They were all, Stamper stamping magazines, but that one was really good on techniques because it would go into the entire process of things. So that was something that's similar to this one right here. They're talking about, what is this, yo-yo stamps right here. I don't know. Talking about cutting out things like this, I don't know. A few ads in here I noticed. There's this birthday club right here. They're talking about people's birthdays right here, so you can send people birthday cards and whatnot. But this is the thing. I did a quick flip through of this, and I found this funny right here. Angel companies. So a company who lets you do anything you like with stamps as long as it's done by hand and with the actual original stamps. Okay, so that means for the most part it was talking about people making cards and being able to sell them using copyright righted images, so they would be given the licensing inherently to be able to use whatever you want for products for sale. Okay, so there's different companies here. So I found this funny how it was kind of described. So like Blue Cat, people need to write in on an individual basis for permission, etc. Disney, definitely not allowed to use stamps for commercial purposes. You can't take a Winnie the Pooh, stamp it on, cards and sell them or something like that. DJ Inkers, definitely not. But there's this hand marked out area right there, which of course makes me curious to know what it said. So I looked closely to see, and it says underneath here, have actually sued people in the States. So I don't know, they didn't want that in there, so they marked it out. Okay. PSX, personal impressions, hand stamped only for personal and non-commercial use. Stampscapes, Kevin has published his views in the brochure. In brief, there are now restrictions on hand stamped products for resale. He does ask that stampers do advise him of the type of products and the market. He will then send a licensing granting use of its designs to create products for resale. All right. So I was in the Graphic Artists Guild, okay, as a freelance illustrator. So copyright issues were the big thing with, people that were in the Graphic Artists Guild. So you don't get taken advantage of. So things like this type of thing, hand stamp goods for resale, that was something that I termed back then, or whatever, for that angel usage. I don't know, they got this wrong right here, though. There weren't restrictions on it. I just needed to know what people were doing. So if people said, hey, I'm getting something, stamping something out and mass producing it, or whatnot, that kind of thing, my wording just kind of prevented that type of thing. But even then, I'd often grant permission, if people were doing packaging for their products or something like that. For example, there was a soap company out there that was using, one of my designs as their kind of, not logo, but their packaging for a certain soap they were doing. I just said, hey, send me a bar of it, and, you can use it, with no problem. But anyways, that type of thing was a big issue back then. I don't know how many people in the 90s were selling things, though, that the Angel Company thing became such a gigantic issue. It's like, how many people, were doing that? I don't know. Maybe some, but they just wanted the, the ability to do that, okay? That was the biggest thing about that whole thing, but it became a big kind of a issue back then. I don't know, in the various different, publications. And so it's probably still going on to some extent, but they termed it Angel Company. Someone did it like that, probably because, I don't know, someone said, oh, you can't use that rubber stampede thing, so they termed it Angel Company. So I guess people, if they didn't allow that to happen, they were the devil companies. I don't know. Okay, but look at this, dry embossing here. So many people got into embossing back when, or into rubber stamping in and they're kind of the big kind of technique that really got them hooked was embossing. So I don't know, there's a talk about dry embossing here, but heat embossing, everything like that. Everyone loved embossing back then. So that was one of the big kind of things, techniques over just the actual stamping. And I know that because I used to ask people how they got into stamping back when, and about 70% of the people back in those days, probably through like the early 2000s, it was embossing. Later, if you ask people how you got into stamping, it was through Stampin' Up. I don't know so much of the, not so much of the other companies, but Stampin' Up specifically got people kind of really into rubber stamping. So, stunning stamping techniques. So these are different book reviews here. Look at this. Discover rubber stamping, stamping in a weekend. This one's by D. Grunig, Stunning Stamping Techniques. So she was one of the first people that did it. I didn't realize there were so many different publications then. I'm thinking they were coming out at the time, right here. But yeah, I don't know. Yeah, there was still, yeah, there was a decent amount of them. So, yeah. I guess I'm mistaken. I guess I'm starting to forget about this because I guess in the early 90s there were a couple different books coming out at the time. So, I don't know. I guess by 97 it was already rolling here. Different samples right here. And again, here I'm looking at this. This is definitely line art. Okay, so there's not halftones in here. So everything's, you know, can be just broken down into black and white here. So in this publication, no halftones. But different, let's see, different stamping conventions going on. Here's one in the Netherlands, Stempel Mecca in Germany. Okay, I think that one's been going on for quite some time. If it's still going on, I don't know. But Stamp It UK, right here. Mail art swaps. Wooden cards right here. I recognize the name here. Marina Lenzino, I think there are some articles on her in Rubber Stamp Madness, I believe, if I'm not mistaken here. Travelin' and Stampin'. Oh, I was talking about Stampa Barbara. Probably the best known art stamp shop in America is that so superbly owned and managed by Gary Dorothy, Stampa Barbara, in picturesque picturesque Santa Barbara on the romantic coast of California. It is perhaps best described as appearing like a beautiful library of categorized rubber stamps. It used to be so fun to go into Stampa Barbara and check out pretty much a really good an example of the entire manufacturing stamping world. It was, I don't know, it was all rubber stamps at the time. There were a couple accessories. We were talking about Stampa Barbara's first stamp positioner, which was like an acrylic T-square like this. This one's not Stampa Barbara's right here, but he came out with, I think it was pretty much the first rubber stamp specific accessory, not something that was repurposed for stamping, but actually manufactured for the stamper. And it was this plus a little acrylic piece that you use in conjunction with this kind of more T-square type of whatever contraption, you know. But anyway, yeah, so they were talking about going there. If you were a stamper back in these days, 90s through 2000, if you were, you know, a stamper, maybe through this 97 era or something like that, because there were more stores popping up everywhere, okay? You pretty much wanted to go to Stampa Barbara, and people would go up there and take classes from Kathy Lewis and whatnot. It was like going to Stampa, you know, rubber stamp Mecca, you know, for the rubber stamper. People made pilgrimages, you know, there. And it was really quite something. So here's the type of thing that I really like from this type of publication here. Here's the slide card. Okay, and there's different little illustrations on how to do it here. That's just what people really loved about these different types of publications here. And it was really fast to, you know, publish. It didn't take so long to get to the reader, you know, to the subscribers, because, you know, these are self-published, so you can go to, I don't know if they might have had a, you know, this is probably actually printed. I don't think it's copied. But it was just, you know, when things like this would come out, people would see a construction of it. They can get it into a publication and pretty fat, you know, out to the public, as opposed to, you know, those mass-produced, you know, really professional publications where, you know, it takes like months after you submit, you know, artwork or something like that. They had to get all the halftones done, all the color separations like that done, etc. Get it in the queue for having printed up. Get it back to people, you know, those publishers to have mailed out, if they didn't have it mailed out, you know, somewhere with a right directly from the printer. So I got pen pals right here. Different examples. Like I said, you know, these types of things like this, it looks a little bit, you know, primitive in relation to full-color printing or things like that. But you can really, you know, people can get what, you know, the spirit of things and know what these different types of things were, because that's what we were used to seeing. There was no, you know, internet, you know, examples were, you know, just coming out at this time in '97 or whatnot, but it would take a long time, you know, for, you know, something to load on those dial-up types of connections, so you didn't see things like that too much. But yeah, Ken Brown stamps right here. You know, these are different examples. Like I said, it was limited to, you know, like line art, so the examples that you see in here, you know, people would take these types of things and color it with whatever, colored pencils and whatnot, La Plume and Tombow pens. So, I don't know, fun stuff to see here. I don't know, I don't think I've gone through a UK publication before either, so I don't know how long this went on for, but thanks to, let me see, Karen Barnes for the publication back then, and, you know, these types of publications also really helped the rubber stamper back then, and I really like all these kind of zine, you know, kind of format publications that were going on at the time. Just a lot of spirit of community and creativity, you know, packed in these issues. Sorry, that one cracks me up right there with the line through that. I don't know. Sued people. I don't know. They didn't want that in there. So, kind of funny stuff. All right. Thanks for watching.